My name is Carrie Beaulieu, and I work for Appfluence. We are the team behind the software called Priority Matrix, which I will talk about a little bit later. And today we're going to be presenting on managing multiple projects to make sure you're meeting the needs of all of the project owners you work with. So tackling things like, concurrent deadlines, prioritization, and tracking loose ends, and all of those little things that can slip through the cracks and make it really tough when we're juggling, somewhere in the area of like 20, 30 different architecture projects. And I'm actually really excited to share this with you guys today, since these are pretty simple exercises that are also easy to implement and really effective when you follow them. Some of those main reasons for difficulties when managing multiple projects just boils down to deadlines, whether that's overlapping deadlines, meeting deadlines, or missing deadlines. Shifting priorities as the project goes on, so those moving milestones, and then also keeping track of loose ends and small details. And then finally, of course, overseeing team members and managing staff is always something we have to think about. Just time management in general, and then scheduling for multiple projects to make sure that where there are 10 important deadlines for the team in one day. And the good news is that some of the solutions to these problems are just as simple as aggregating the information about your deadlines and priorities so that you can avoid situations like this, which I think a lot of us have been here before. So you had a project plan that was going to be perfect. As a principal project manager, it's pretty common to lay things out all the way down to the exact date we need things done and which capacity we need our team to be covering them. However, inevitably, we always run into situations where, a project owner calls us and their funding has changed, so we need to adjust the scope of the project, or, something else comes up, and that results in these situations where we end up with more work to handle than resources to cover them, which means that somewhere along the line, key tasks can get dropped. And this is what ends up with those deadlines being missed, and then those kind of uncomfortable situations with project owners, with contractors, where, the schedule is misaligned and then things need to get pushed back. And what's so complicated about this is actually that, this isn't just happening across one project, this is happening across 30 projects all at the same time. And so what we need is really a way to track what's going on across all of them and aggregate that information to make sure that everything's being addressed in an appropriate manner. And what becomes really difficult is actually that one of the reasons this happens is because of this juxtaposition of the needs of project owners versus our responsibility to balance this across the board. Because the fact of the matter is, sometimes it's really difficult to not just give attention to whoever cries wolf the loudest. For example, a project owner who is calling you and they want updates on their project, or they want you to change one of the drawings or something along those lines. And as people who are working to make project owners happy, it's really our natural reaction to say, you need it, I'll do it. However, when it comes to balancing out, again, 20 or 30 projects, we really have to avoid situations like this. And these situations are actually what we call LIFO, or last in, first out. And this basically means that, the most recent email in your inbox, the most recent phone call that you've gotten becomes the first task that we decide to jump on. And it's actually a completely natural reaction. And it works if you're managing, a low volume or a low number of projects. However, when you have a lot of projects going on, this kind of last in, first out mentality can really disregard important parts of managing multiple projects, such as those concurrent deadlines. And not only that, but also the priority level of the things you're working on and just time management in general. Because the fact of the matter is, a linear to-do list just isn't enough when you're operating at this high capacity. There are too many moving parts and there's so many other factors to consider. And this is actually what leads us into this idea of the Eisenhower Matrix, which, as the name says, people say was invented by President Eisenhower, because he had so much to do and, not only limited resources, but really limited time, which is something that all of us face.